and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso. Please, if you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe button. Just put my partial in. Anyway, and if you like the video, hit the like button. A lot of people who watch this channel have been to prison. State prison, federal prison, county jails. A lot of people have been. And to those of you who have, I ask you, especially the guys who have done a bunch of time, has there ever been a time when you heard a story that was identical to another story? So I have a little saying that the stories don't change, only the characters. When guys in prison are telling stories, mostly it's drug related, you know. We were selling this, we were doing that, we were with our friends doing that, we were with these hookers, we were doing, you know. The stories I noticed throughout the years usually are the same, only the characters and the places have changed. So, Joe Blow was telling me a story about this day he went out and made all this money and went to the casino and did that. 15 years later, I heard a story from Jamal Blow, who said the story, and it was pretty much the same thing, only maybe the players have changed, but the story, the outcome is pretty much the same. This is a story about two identical stories, and it's pretty sensitive, pretty touchy issues. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get started. In 1997, when I was arrested for what would lead to conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine and the charge that led to my life sentence, I was sent to the Sebastian County Jail in Fort Smith, Arkansas. There, I met a guy in his 50s or early 60s at the time by the name of Michael Branch. Michael Branch was someone who may have been a pathological liar, or believed his own lies, or was delusional at times. I'm not really sure. Definitely a liar. Don't know how much he believed of them, how much were calculated, how much of it. So his backstory is what I'm really getting at. His backstory, his whole life backstory, I believe was a complete and total lie. For example, Michael Branch claimed to have once been an attorney. And I bought it. And I'll tell you, probably Michael Branch was one of the people that influenced me to become a, quote, jailhouse lawyer, close quote. He had a bunch of law books. He was instrumental in reversing his murder conviction. And when I met him, he was back in the county jail after flipping a sentence. I believe he got either life or 30 years. He had a life sentence or 30 years for a murder charge that he overturned himself with probably the help of somebody else, but he was claiming he did it himself. Anyway, Branch said he was a lawyer. And because he knew a lot of legal jargon and legal stuff and had all the right books, I had no reason to doubt him. Had I looked closer, however, I would have seen all the signs were there. Number one, lawyers typically don't have really, really bad teeth. That is, teeth consistent with somebody who uses a lot of methamphetamine. One big buck tooth here, no teeth here, stain yellow here, you know, usually just really all crooked bottom teeth. Usually somebody that's a professional, especially a lawyer, would have, especially, and somebody who claims to have the kind of money that Branch said he had or once had, would have gotten denture work done. Now, as I just said that, I was thinking about one person that's is a millionaire who never changed his teeth. Anyway, but I think you know what I mean. How many guys would go to a lawyer and it's just, he looked like he had meth mouth. Or maybe that's the lawyer you kind of want, actually. Anyway, what I didn't know at the time, and I would later find out, is Michael Branch was back in the jail, and he was actually trying to cooperate. So he had an attorney in Fort Smith, and what he was doing was taking information in the jail and, you know, tried to get a better deal. What he was really trying to get was a plea bargain from the prosecutor. He did not want to go back to trial, and they were retrying him, and he was taking information. He was the guy that all the guys went to with their case. So, and I want to, this is actually a teachable moment. Anybody who's never been arrested, or even for those of you that have, when you get busted, the worst thing you can ever do when you go to county jail, when you get locked up, is talk about your case. We all have tendencies to talk about our case because we're emotional about it. It's fresh on our brains. It just happened. We're getting screwed. They're taking our property. Our women are leaving us. The kids won't talk to us. So we have a tendency to reveal our case. Do not ever discuss your case with somebody you don't know, or it's better practice to just shut up about it. Of course, if you're too quiet about it, people will think that you're a sex offender or you have this or that. But the details of your case do not reveal. If you were selling coke, just say you were a drug dealer. If you were selling kilos, you know, allude to you were a small player. If you're a small player, allude to you're a big, you know, just don't ever give up the real information because people use it against you. In my case, I come to find out later, Michael Branch was taking information about me, as did like 3 or 4 other guys who went to the grand jury and testified that I said certain things while I was in the jail. And you know what? I did say certain things, but they all fabricated it to fit the prosecution's case. Anyway, let's get back to Branch. Michael Branch was convicted of shooting a guy. I don't even remember the guy's name. I do know that Michael Branch's girlfriend, Linda, was there at the time. And I do know a guy named Dustin Layton was there at the time. So it was Linda, Michael Branch, Dustin, and the victim. Apparently, they were in one of these slummy motels. You know, rent by the week, rent by the day. Branch was actually not an attorney, but a slumlord. Think he was getting free rent to live there. I believe he sometimes had a little phony a little, you know, half-assed construction company, I believe. Dustin Layton worked for Branch or partied with Branch. I'm not really clear about that, and you'll understand this in a minute. I knew Dustin Layton. In fact, in 1995, me and Dustin Layton were in CD Pod, I think it was called, at the Sebastian County Jail, and he was a fabulous artist. When I got out of jail, me and Dustin hooked up with a guy whose name was Sick Fuck, Dale Harmon, aka Sick Fuck. And we went to Dustin's house, smoked a little bit, and I think maybe there's a little bit of meth done. Not really sure. It's been a long time. But Dustin Layton was in the jail, and what I didn't know is after I got out of jail, Dustin Layton ended up testifying against Michael Branch. Now, I didn't know that. I knew that Dustin was innocent. He always claimed that he was in a house and somebody got killed and he was just there and being held because he had no money to get out on bond. And that was all true. So I never asked Dustin about the story about him witnessing killing this guy. So the name Michael Branch, to me, when I met Branch in 1997, it didn't really register that this was the guy that was involved with Dustin Layton, or the guy that Dustin Layton was in jail for back in the day. But Branch and I became friends, and Branch revealed that he, Dustin, Linda, and the victim all went, it was early in the morning hours. They were drinking, mething, drinking, using whatever, coking, whatever they were doing. And a fight came out. There was a 22 with birdshot. The shells were old, like 20 years old. The ammunition was old birdshot. For those of you that don't know, it's real weak. Buckshot's typically stronger bullet penetration. You gun guys, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so you can shoot somebody with birdshot, pretty close range, and you know, not really kill them sometimes. In this case, Branch and the victim were arguing. A gun was pulled out. There was a tussle over the gun. accidentally the gun went off, killed the victim. Was Branch's story. Now, when Branch told me the story, I said, oh man, I remember this story. I remember Dustin. I remember what happened. Yeah, you got framed. And Branch was like, what? What did you hear? And I said, man, you're like innocent, ain't you? And he's like, yeah, I am. Why? And I said, because I remember talking to Dustin. And what had happened was that guy grabbed the gun originally. You grabbed the gun and somehow it got turned around, blah, blah, blah. And that guy ended up dying. And Branch said, will you talk to my lawyer and tell him what you just told me? And I said, yes. Now, I ended up going to several other pods for different reasons I talked about in different videos. And while I was gone, Branch had made notes of everything I said and was trying to cut a deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the prosecutor's office to testify against. I didn't know any of this. Matter of fact, he did not want me in BB pod, but because there was no other place to put me because I kept fighting and had different problems with officers and some inmates, they put me back in BB pod. I always wanted to stay in BB pod and be around Michael Branch because I was learning so much from Branch. He was teaching me about the law. So in him, I saw somebody that I was benefiting from. I didn't realize I was in there with the head cheese eater, and was the guy that was hurting me the most in my case at that time. I was gone out of BB pod, so I went from BB pod to CD pod, from CD pod to the hole for months, from the hole to BC, from BC back to the hole, and then into BB pod. It was over about 4 or 5 months. I ended up back in BB pod right before Michael Branch went to trial. And I'd already talked to his attorney. I'm in there just a few days, and all of a sudden I'm called to court, and I'm at a preliminary hearing, and I'm testifying in court under the penalty of perjury to everything I stated to Michael Branch. Now, I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember the exact specifics of this case. This is in 1995, 1997, I'm sorry. But it was something, like I said, it was something that Michael Branch and this other guy were drinking. The guy threatened Branch. The guy grabbed a gun. Branch grabbed the gun out of his hand. The gun went this way. They were going back and forth. Boom, the gun went off, shot the guy in the chest and killed him. This was a bird shot now, too. It's pretty unlucky. I testified at the preliminary hearing, no problem. I was excited and jazzed about being able to testify in court because at the time I was going through my troubles, and I, in my mind, was a jailhouse, not only a jailhouse lawyer, but a lawyer. So it was fun taking on the prosecution. I didn't care if it was state, federal, parole hearing, a petition to revoke hearing. I loved battling the government. I loved battling the state. You know, it was me against all of them. You know, they were trying to take my life from me, give me a life sentence, and I wanted to do anything I could to screw them. That's the truth. And I was really, really jazzed about being able to testify in Branch's trial. I know many people have never seen a real trial. They are nothing like you see on TV. Well, very few of them are. Sometimes the courtrooms are completely empty and there's nobody there. There's not all the theatrics that there is. If you have a bogus attorney, it can be really dry, boring. The jurors sometimes fall asleep. Totally different than what you expect to see on TV. The first trial I went to was Michael Branch. And I was called in as a witness. But before I get here, let me say this. I ended up becoming cellmates with Michael Branch before his trial. We were able, for 2 to 3 nights ahead of time, discuss what I was going to say when I testified. Now, imagine, I'm going to testify for the witness, for the defendant, and we're living together. Tom Jean was the prosecutor in this case. And what a horrible, horrible job this guy did. I know he's a lawyer in Fort Smith right now, and I got nothing against him, but man, he was just unprepared, terrible. He shouldn't even retried Branch. Anyway, what happened is this. The night before I testified in Branch's trial, I'm laying in my bunk, and I had this moment. Bing! Ah! I remembered where I heard the story of the guy and the gun. And it was not through Dustin Layton nor Michael Branch. It was a cellie that I had in Chino in 1995 that was a biker, and it was nobody related to the Branch case. In fact, not only did I remember that I had my stories mixed up, because the Branch story and the biker guy story, my cellie from 95, were very similar. The difference is that the biker story, it was the victim who grabbed the gun, the biker who grabbed the gun from him. They struggled, boom, and the guy shot him in the chest and got off on self-defense. Never went to trial. And I remembered all of a sudden what Dustin Layton had told me prior, that Michael Branch had pulled the trigger and shot this guy. I think it was over Linda. So I was on the top bunk. Branch was older, big fat guy. And I get down off the bunk and I said, Michael, or Branch, I forgot what I even called him. I said, I need to tell you something, bud. And he said, what? And I said, I just remember something, Branch. I said, I remember what Dustin Layton said. I remember that you're guilty. And his face, if you could have seen his face, it was just completely shocked. He told me I didn't know what I was talking about, and he got upset. And I stopped because I saw he was going to get uncomfortable. And remember, I am getting ready to go to trial, and they're getting ready to take my life. And I know I'm going to lose. I mean, there was some hope, but I knew I was going to lose. And I also had charges pending in the state where Tom G and the same prosecutor was prosecuting me. So for me to go to trial against Gene, because in my mind, I wasn't a witness, I was going on trial to win. I would have won anyway. I would have lied at that time, just because of the situation I was in. You know, swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth will help me God. Sure. I mean, really, I'm just being, that's where I was at that time of my life. And I was doing drugs in the jail, and I was whacked out, getting high, and all that other stuff. The next day, sure enough, I went to trial, and Dustin Layton, the prosecutor asked Dustin Layton if he knew me, and he said, Robert Ross, that big drug dealer guy, you know, smeared me out. Excuse me, my nose itches. And I got to testify. And I testified to exactly what I said during the prelim. That was that there was an argument that Dustin Layton had told me. So I'm snitching against the snitch, basically. You know, the star informant, I'm killing his credibility. My purpose of the trial was to destroy the only witness that they had. Linda, the girlfriend, she had amnesia. She didn't know what happened, or methnesia or whatever. So I don't know what happened with Linda. She wasn't in the courtroom. As a matter of fact, let me tell you something. Not a single person in this courtroom. And that told me so much. There was a reporter. That said so much to me. The victim's family got, I don't mean to smear the victim. I don't know who he is. If you guys know him, anybody that ever sees this video knows him. I thought, man, this guy must have been a real dirtbag. Like, he's got nobody that's going to come. Nobody wants justice for this dude. Nobody cares. And then you got Branch. Where's Linda? Where's the daughters and the sons? And where's all the people he talks about? Hell, he was a big attorney. Where's all these people? I thought he was popular. I thought he was famous. In his mind, he's telling everybody how famous he was. Nobody. Not a person in the courtroom. And I remember, like, wow, this is just the jurors. And I was like, wow, this is a trial? Anyway, got up there, and I nailed it. I nailed it. Branch was basically, Dustin told me, my testimony was something like, and someday I'll try to pull these transcripts and see what I said. The statute of limitations, I talked to an attorney before I did this video. Statute of limitations is out. So I'll go ahead and say, you know, what I did. Anyway, so got up there and I did what I was, what I wanted to do. I made Tom Jean look bad, helped walk Branch, and Michael Branch won. It was just Dustin Layton against Michael Branch. That's basically what it come down to. And I killed Dustin Layton. Killed his credibility. And I felt really good at the time. I did. Now, let me tell you what happens after. Michael Branch's lawyer, what was this guy's name? He came up to me. I was in the holding cell, and he said, "You just walked my client. I want to thank you. He's going to win. You just walked him." Michael Branch came back to the jail that night. He won. The jury came back real quick. Boom, not guilty. He came to our cell where he had his personal belongings. Never said thank you. Grabbed his stuff. Never said goodbye. And I was waiting for him. I was waiting for him to come say, "Man, thank you, Robert. You know, you never said nothing." No. At the time, not only was I going through a federal trial for my life, for a criminal trial, I had a civil suit pending. The civil suit was against the Sebastian County Detention Center, some of the employees. Michael Branch played a pivotal role in this civil suit. That is, he was told by staff that other staff members were going to pay inmates Kentucky Fried Chicken to assault me prior to the assault happening. And that's exactly what happened. I got assaulted for a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah. I mean, whatever. That's why the staff did it. I mean, that's why the inmates did. They got paid. But staff did it. Staff had me set up because I was causing them a lot of problems. Beware of messing with staff, no matter where you go. Branch was calling the jail. Now listen to this one. Michael Branch called the jail administrator and key members or the plaintiffs in the case that I was suing and telling them that he was going to get amnesia at my trial, not to worry. I found out 2 days before my trial through a deputy who's now in a high-ranking position in that jail. I'm just going to say that. Really good guy. He was a rookie. A deputy at Sebastian County Detention Center, who's now a high-ranking official in that jail, came to me and said, "Rosso, don't count on Branch. Branch is about to fuck you." And I'm like, "What?" I said, I just walked this guy. He doesn't have a life sentence today because of me. He says, "I know, and that's why I'm telling you, don't count on him." Michael Branch, I called up, put on the witness stand in my civil trial, and just like I was told by that now high-ranking official, who was then a rookie, Michael Branch had amnesia, didn't remember or recall anything. And I don't remember if I said, "Did you call the jail?" and blah, blah, blah. I don't think I put him out there that way. But anyway, let me say this now in closing, because I've just admitted to perjuring myself on the stand, intentionally and knowingly perjuring myself. It felt really good at that time to do what I did. And it made it easier, the fact that the victim didn't have any family in the audience. And I was told by other people like he was whatever. He was kind of a homeless type of dude that didn't have nobody, that burned all his bridges. Okay. I don't know. I don't even know the guy's name, but it was, it was easier because nobody was there to see, I had no mothers, grieving mothers and all that. Although at that time it wouldn't have mattered because it wasn't about the victim. It was about me against the prosecutor. I was on trial. In my mind, I was testifying. It was win or lose, me or him, win or lose. It had nothing to do with Michael Branch. I didn't care at that time. it felt good to win, and to me it was a win, like I said, for me. But look at the aftermath of that. Branch has never been there. Branch never sent me a letter, never sent a thank you, and then turn around and try to screw me during my civil trial. So maybe the more, and this kind of happened to me in my criminal sentence as well. I took a life sentence. I took it on the chin. Took one for the team, and I didn't even get a that-a-boy. You know what I'm saying? However, I created the mess that became my life sentence. So, you know, I don't really, it hurt me at times that like my ex-wife or some other people that were non-indicted co-defendants never did some of the right thing, I would say. But always remember, for example, if you're involved in a criminal case, you got a bunch of co-defendants, they want you to rat, make sure you're not telling for you, not for them. In other words, because people will hurt you and let you down every time. Most of the time, I would argue. So it's got to be about you. Michael Branch, that case, again, it was me against Tom Jean. It wasn't me and Michael Branch. If I had to do this today, being the person that I am now, I mean, I'm the same person. I don't think people change, but we're at our core, I think we are who we are when we were children. I think that influences pretty much most of our lives from a really early age, and that's who we're always going to be. I wouldn't do this today. I don't have the criminal mentality thing going on. Yeah, I guess even though it felt good to win, if there's ever a person who knew that victim, that I would apologize to the family. I believe I would do that if I knew who it was. Again, it felt good to win. It felt like at that time of my life, it was the right thing to do. But yeah, there's something a little weird about it now. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a story. It's a part of my life. Another jail story, something else I was involved in. And there it is. Committing perjury for a scumbag.